Have you ever noticed how the loudest voices often seem to carry the least wisdom? Or how, in a room full of conversation, the most silent figure is often the most influential? Think about it. What makes a person's presence strong even when they say very little? What kind of strength is cultivated in a world that constantly demands attention, reaction, and validation? Today, we live in a time where everyone's in a hurry to speak, to prove a point, to show the world they have value. But have you ever wondered what might happen if, instead of reacting, we simply remained quiet? If we acted like we had nothing to lose, what might we gain? Let's journey through this together and uncover the wisdom that silence can hold, beginning with the teachings of one of history's greatest strategists, Acharya Chanakya. Chapter 1. Master the Art of Silence. First, let's talk about silence. We've all heard that silence is golden, but how often do we actually treat it as such? Chanakya said that silence is not empty, it's filled with answers. In today's world, the quiet ones are often mistaken for being passive, shy, or uninterested. But true silence, the kind that Chanakya advocated for, is intentional and observant. It's about not rushing to fill every pause or feel pressured to make a point in every conversation. It's an active decision to watch, to listen, and to let others reveal more than they intended. By embracing silence, we start to uncover a layer of intelligence and insight that's rarely accessible to the loud and reactionary. In silence, we don't just see situations, we begin to see through them, understanding motivations, noticing patterns, and ultimately, gaining a clearer sense of reality. Imagine the advantage of mastering this skill. We become calm and strategic instead of reactive. And in that calmness, we hold a position of strength. Chapter 2. Observe more, speak less. This leads us naturally to Chanakya's second lesson. Observe more, speak less. In a world addicted to sound bites and quick opinions, silence becomes your secret weapon. Imagine if, instead of rushing to share our thoughts or opinions, we simply listened. Not the kind of passive listening that so many of us practice today, where we're already planning our reply or waiting for our turn. No, this is active, engaged listening, where we're genuinely interested in the words, tone, and subtext of the other person. When we observe more and speak less, we not only gain better insights into people, but also uncover a level of patience within ourselves that's rare today. Observation lets us read between the lines, allowing us to detect honesty, insecurity, intention, and even manipulation without having to say a single word. In fact, every time you choose to listen deeply, you silently convey a message that's louder than any words. I don't need to prove myself to you. Chapter 3. Control your reactions. This brings us to the third principle, which is perhaps the hardest for most of us today. Controlling our reactions. Think about how often we're tempted to react, whether it's to defend our reputation, refute a criticism, or prove someone else wrong. This is often because, deep down, we feel threatened. We feel we have something to lose, and that fear compels us to react. But imagine the opposite. What if, regardless of what anyone said or did, we remained composed? When we don't react, when we control our emotions, we reveal that we're secure and confident in who we are. In a sense, we become untouchable. By refusing to let someone else's words control us, we establish an unbreakable inner stability. And this isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about rising above them, choosing our response rather than being driven by the impulse to protect our ego. In the modern world, where every comment online and offline can feel like a personal attack, practicing this principle sets us apart. It's a rare strength, a kind of inner armor that shields us from the noise of everyday criticism and judgments. Chapter 4. Cultivate self-sufficiency. Next, Chanakya emphasized the importance of self-sufficiency. And when I say self-sufficiency, I don't just mean financially or physically. I mean emotionally. It's the ability to stand alone in our thoughts, values, and convictions without feeling the need for constant validation from others. Today, so many people are conditioned to rely on external approval. They seek likes, comments, praises, and other forms of recognition to feel worthy. But what happens when all those affirmations fade away? Can they still feel secure? Chanakya believed that true power comes from within, from a sense of independence that no one can take away from you. If we act as though we have nothing to lose, we shift our attention inward, grounding ourselves in our values, our purpose, and our self-worth. By depending less on others' opinions, we start to cultivate a confidence that is real, one that cannot be shaken by anyone's praise or criticism. Chapter 5. Be mindful of attachment. Finally, let's talk about attachment. The reason so many people fear loss or failure is that they're deeply attached to outcomes, possessions, or relationships. And while it's natural to care about things or people, an excessive attachment often breeds insecurity, fear, and even desperation. Chanakya taught that when we're overly attached, we lose control over our emotions and decisions. But when we let go of the need to cling, we experience a new kind of freedom. Imagine living without that constant weight of attachment. What would change? We'd no longer be paralyzed by the fear of losing what we have, whether it's a job, a relationship, or a social status. By reducing attachment, we can engage more freely, make bolder decisions, and navigate life without that heavy burden of fear. Acting as if we have nothing to lose doesn't mean we don't care. It means we're not bound or defined by what we have or don't have. This phase sets the stage for deeper principles in the journey of self-mastery, offering the first steps towards acting with strength, resilience, and freedom, just as Chanakya envisioned. We've taken our first steps into understanding the power of silence, detachment, and the strength that comes from within. But the journey doesn't stop there. As we continue exploring Acharya Chanakya's principles, we begin to see the depth of his wisdom on self-mastery. These next steps invite us to deepen our patience, master our emotions, and transform our interactions in ways that few people dare to in today's world. So let's dive into the next 5 principles, remembering that each is a brick in the foundation of inner strength and quiet power. Chapter 6. Act with patience and strategy. Patience is almost a lost art today. We live in a world that's constantly moving at high speed, where we expect immediate results, instant gratification, and quick wins. But here's a question. Have you ever seen someone succeed by rushing? Sure, we see people racing toward goals, but true success, the kind that's lasting and meaningful, is rarely achieved without patience. Chanakya taught that we should never rush to prove ourselves. He believed that wisdom lies in moving with purpose, not with impulse. Think about it this way. When we act patiently, we're like a river flowing steadily towards its destination. The river doesn't rush. It knows it will reach its goal eventually. And in that patience lies immense power. Acting with patience doesn't mean we're inactive. It means we're preparing, observing, and choosing our moments carefully. Strategy without patience is incomplete, and Chanakya understood that waiting for the right time often yields greater results than pushing forward too soon. When we learn to embody this principle, we naturally become more deliberate and less reactive, gaining control over our choices and outcomes. Chapter 7. Appear unconcerned by outcomes. Imagine living a life where you're not constantly worried about the results of every decision, where your value isn't tied to winning or losing. Acharya Chanakya understood the power of acting as if you have nothing to lose. When we appear unconcerned by outcomes, we're not disregarding them. We're simply not controlled by them. Think about how liberating this can be. In today's world, people are often trapped in cycles of anxiety because they're overly focused on outcomes, fearing failure or even success. Chanakya taught that by detaching from outcomes, we allow ourselves to act with greater boldness, clarity, and confidence. When we're not consumed by the fear of losing, we think more creatively, we take bolder steps, and we make decisions from a place of genuine strength rather than from fear. And as a result, we often surprise ourselves with how much we can achieve. Imagine walking into every challenge, every opportunity with that level of freedom. What could you accomplish if you were unconcerned with the end result? That's where true power lies. Chapter 8. Cultivate inner stability. In today's rapidly changing world, stability can feel elusive. But Chanakya believed that true stability doesn't come from controlling external circumstances. It comes from within. He taught that our mind should be like a steady flame that remains constant, regardless of the winds that blow around it. When we cultivate inner stability, we're no longer at the mercy of what others think, say, or do. We become unaffected by the chaos of the world, finding a place of peace within ourselves. Imagine a ship on the sea during a storm. If it has a strong anchor, it might sway, but it won't drift away. Similarly, when our mind is anchored in stability, we can face life's storms without being shaken. Inner stability is especially rare today, when everyone seems to be influenced by trends, external approval, and others' opinions. When we are stable within ourselves, we make decisions from a place of calm and clarity rather than reacting to every wave. This steadiness earns respect because people can sense that we're not easily moved or manipulated. Chapter 9. Embrace simplicity in words and actions. Today, simplicity is often mistaken for weakness, but Chanakya saw it differently. Simplicity is strength. Simplicity in our words, in our actions, in our lifestyle. It all communicates clarity, confidence, and an unspoken power. When we live simply, we strip away the noise and distractions that complicate our lives. We become more focused on what truly matters, and our presence alone begins to speak louder than words. Simplicity doesn't mean saying less or doing less. It means focusing on what's essential and letting that guide our words and actions. In a world where people are often trying to impress each other with grand gestures and elaborate stories, simplicity becomes refreshing. It's a reminder that we don't need to prove our worth by adding more. We prove our worth by letting our actions speak for themselves. Living simply allows us to communicate our values more authentically, and when people see that we mean what we say and act with intention, we naturally attract their respect. Chapter 10. Stay unaffected by praise or criticism. Now let's explore the principle of staying unaffected by praise or criticism. This might be one of the hardest principles to practice, yet it's one of the most liberating. In today's world, where everyone's opinion is a click away, it's all too easy to let ourselves be swayed by others' judgments. When we're praised, we feel uplifted, and when we're criticized, we may feel discouraged. But Chanakya advised that we should remain neutral to both. Why? Because true strength isn't influenced by external approval. It's rooted in a stable self-worth. Imagine if, whether people praise or criticize you, you remain steady. Praise wouldn't make you arrogant, and criticism wouldn't break your spirit. When we stay neutral, we free ourselves from the roller coaster of external opinions. Chanakya taught that when you know your worth, you no longer need others to validate it. By practicing this, you become immune to flattery and resilient to judgment. This doesn't mean ignoring feedback. It means processing it without letting it control your self-esteem. In a world that constantly seeks validation, standing firm in who you are, whether praised or criticized, is a profound strength. As we deepen our understanding of Chanakya's teachings, we realize that these principles are like threads woven together to form a fabric of inner resilience and quiet power. When we practice patience, detach from outcomes, cultivate inner stability, embrace simplicity, and remain unaffected by praise or criticism, we begin to act like we have nothing to lose. And in doing so, we gain a presence, a sense of self, and a level of influence that is rare and inspiring. These aren't just ideals, they are practices that allow us to navigate life with purpose, poise, and unshakable confidence. And in this journey, we come to realize that true strength doesn't shout. It stands quietly, ready, and certain. This is the strength that Chanakya envisioned, the quiet power that moves through life with dignity and depth. Let these principles guide us as we step forward, unafraid and fully grounded in the wisdom of silence and self-mastery. This phase reinforces the journey into deeper self-awareness and resilience, building toward the ultimate freedom that comes from living with nothing to lose. With each principle we've explored, we're uncovering a path toward self-mastery that is not only timeless but also transformative. Chanakya's teachings invite us to be intentional, resilient, and detached in a world that often encourages the opposite. As we approach the final phase, let's dive into the last 5 principles, which push us to fortify our inner strength, choose our battles wisely, and embrace a deeper kind of freedom. Chapter 11. Focus on building inner strength. Chanakya taught that genuine strength isn't something we flaunt. It's something we quietly build within ourselves. In today's world, strength is often confused with dominance, wealth, or influence. But true strength is the capacity to endure and to act with integrity, even when the world challenges us. This kind of strength doesn't come from external accomplishments. It comes from a disciplined mind and heart. Inner strength means being able to face setbacks without losing hope, to encounter criticism without crumbling, and to make difficult choices without feeling overwhelmed. It's a resilience that doesn't demand validation and isn't affected by circumstances. When we focus on building this kind of strength, we become unshakable. Chanakya's wisdom reminds us that real power isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the most composed, the most unyielding, and the most prepared. And this strength, once cultivated, shines in every aspect of our lives. Chapter 12. Move with calmness, like you own your path. One of the most profound ways to embody strength is through calmness. Imagine moving through life without the constant need to rush or react. When we act calmly, we signal to ourselves and others that we are confident in our journey, unbothered by external pressures. Chanakya taught that calmness is a mark of wisdom, a quality of someone who is secure within themselves. Moving with calmness doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to remain grounded, even when things aren't. In a world full of hustle, anxiety, and competition, moving with calmness can be revolutionary. This calmness reflects that you're in control of your path, unaffected by the noise around you. It's a presence that naturally commands respect and curiosity, as others begin to wonder, what makes them so sure? Chanakya believed that when we act as though we own our path, we exude a quiet confidence that speaks louder than words. Chapter 13. Avoid needless battles. Today, it's easy to get drawn into conflicts over minor issues, to argue about opinions that may not even matter in the long run. But Chanakya's wisdom teaches us that not every battle is worth fighting. In fact, one of the most powerful decisions we can make is to walk away from a battle that doesn't serve our higher purpose. Imagine the energy we would save and the peace we would gain by choosing our battles carefully. Chanakya believed that true wisdom lies in knowing when to stand your ground and when to let go. Avoiding needless battles isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of maturity and foresight. When we conserve our energy for what truly matters, we become more strategic, more effective, and less drained by trivial confrontations. Imagine facing only the challenges that truly matter to you, the ones that align with your values and goals. In a world where many waste their energy on minor quarrels, choosing not to engage becomes a powerful stance. Chapter 14. Strategize in silence. In today's world, there's a tendency to share every plan, every goal, and every ambition openly. But Chanakya understood that true power often works in silence. By strategizing in silence, we avoid unnecessary distractions and protect ourselves from interference. Imagine if, instead of telling everyone what we plan to achieve, we simply worked quietly, letting our results speak for themselves. Chanakya taught that silence in strategy is not about secrecy, it's about focus. When we strategize in silence, we keep our intentions pure and our direction clear. We avoid being influenced by others' opinions or by the need to explain ourselves. This principle allows us to move forward with purpose, undistracted and unencumbered by the judgments or advice of those who may not fully understand our vision. By working in silence, we create an element of surprise and a deeper sense of fulfillment because our achievements are self-made, not born out of others' expectations. Chapter 15. Remember, the greatest strength is detachment. The final principle is perhaps the most profound. The strength of detachment. Chanakya taught that true power lies in the ability to remain unattached. This doesn't mean not caring or being indifferent. It means not clinging. When we act as if we have nothing to lose, we free ourselves from the chains of fear, doubt, and insecurity. Imagine the freedom in being able to pursue your goals without the paralyzing fear of failure, rejection, or loss. Detachment allows us to experience life more fully, to take risks without fear, and to move forward with a sense of courage that's rare in today's world. Detachment doesn't lessen our passion, it amplifies it, because our actions are driven by purpose, not by the need to protect or possess. Imagine standing in any situation and knowing that whether you win or lose, gain or lose, your sense of self remains whole. This is the ultimate strength that Chanakya taught: the freedom to act without fear, the courage to live without clinging, and the wisdom to walk away if needed. As we reflect on these final principles, building inner strength, moving with calmness, avoiding needless battles, strategizing in silence, and embracing detachment, we begin to see a complete picture of Chanakya's vision for self-mastery. Each of these principles helps us live with dignity, purpose, and resilience. Together, they create a life where we don't merely react to the world, but respond with intention, wisdom, and calm. Imagine a life where we can be fully present in each moment, secure in our path, and free from the weight of unnecessary attachments. This is what it means to act like you have nothing to lose. In this state, we are our most powerful, our most authentic, and our most fulfilled. Chanakya's teachings invite us to rise above the noise, to find strength in quietness, and to master the art of living without fear. So let us carry these principles forward. Let us be the quiet, steady presence in a world of chaos. Let us walk confidently on our path, unconcerned by judgment, unaffected by praise or criticism, and undeterred by setbacks. This is the legacy of Chanakya, a call to live with wisdom, with courage, and with the quiet strength of someone who truly has nothing to lose.